The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Get involved with Access Fort Wayne and make your own television programming. Call 421-1250 to find out more.
Welcome to the Blue Bunny Army Show. I hope you all will enjoy it. Have a good day.
I'm super shy, but wait a minute while I make you mine, 달리는 지금도 you're on my mind all the time. I wanna tell you, but I'm super shy. I'm super shy, but wait a minute while I make you mine, 달리는 지금도 you're on my mind all the time. I wanna tell you, but I'm super shy.
Good day and enjoy the show.
Into those rivers and into our Western Lake Erie Basin.
Every raindrop particle splashes up a little bit of dirt on the clear cover crop. So when a raindrop hits a green vegetated, it dissipates. It takes the pressure off of it. You think one raindrop can't do anything, but we have photos of that first raindrop hitting the ground and splashing up. So
like that one on the far right would normally look more like the one on the far left. Yeah, you can just see that it's not deep enough. I think it's because there was such a bare sample that she did take that it's not high enough. Like these are all fuller. I think it's settled a little bit, and that's why it's not actually running off very much because it's not there to run off. So this loose soil, when that water was hitting it, that was causing some really quick compaction. It just went down and compacted. So it's way below the tray height. Normally that would be really dark, muddy, murky, and part of that is, when you're looking at our rivers, we have some sandy bottom rivers here in Allen County and Adams area, but a lot of what you're seeing in the river, our rivers aren't actually dirty. There's some sediment, there's sandy bottoms, but you're seeing some of that sediment, that runoff.
for the St. Mary's here, the brown is clay.
Clay.
Because we have a high clay content in our soil. We're clay loam.
But isn't it they've always been there? I mean, I'm talking like way back before all of the farming around them. Were they always brown and muddy from the clay?
Since farming, probably before that, I would guess they were a little more pristine. I don't know. We have a couple experts in that guys can speak to that. I would guess they were cleaner. There wasn't any activity. The crop was all covered. This was all forest land. So there was no clearance in this area. Winchester Road was a high spot, so that's the one trail, and Midway Road, where 27 is now, that was the other side of the river, that was a high spot. So they were the trails through this area way back. So I've had years that I don't have to put herbicide on. They just sprayed this field back here, not for weeds, but because I have hairy vetch on there. This year was a strange year. We had a lot of rain, cold, cooler weather, no winter, and the hairy vetch was, when I planted it the hairy vetch was still. And I roller trimmed that down, and I'll talk about that when we go back there. But it rains too much, I believe, and by roller crimping, it takes, when you crimp that, it'll die, but it takes some drying time. We haven't had drying time this spring. It's been wet. Same way I've had cereal rain, and did not die because of all the rain and cool weather. They wouldn't grow. So I had to put herbicide on. There's been years I haven't had to apply anything on it.
What kind of herbicide do you use?
I'm not sure this one is. It's a 2,4-D mixture. It has glyphosate in it. I don't know what he put in. I didn't ask them. I ordered that the other day, and they come out and look at it. And I trust the guys. They know what I'm doing.
Right.
So,
What's the purpose of that vetch stuff?
The vetch?
Yeah, I must have missed that.
So, why do I plant cover crops? Why do we cover it? Number one, I want something on my ground as long as I can. A cover.
So it doesn't.
Green mat, okay?
Yeah.
And I tailor it to whatever crop I'm planting. Hairy vetches it's a legume, so it fixes nitrogen. It takes nitrogen out of the air, fixes it in the soil. It's the number one nitrogen fixer we can get. So when I have that growing like that, I'm told that there could be 150, 200 pounds of nitrogen that I grew there, that I fixed in that soil. Normally the cereal rye is better. Cereal rye will outgrow the hairy vetch, but this year it didn't.
And that's the center one? Rye?
Yeah, that was what'd you have? That looked more like a barley. Barley.
No, that was not the garden, but I believe it was. Well, it might have been a section of the barley.
This is crimson. This was crimson clover.
Yeah.
Looks like mostly crimson clover.
It's all crimson clover.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. Crimson clover is another legume that I put in my mix. It grows short normally with a lot of branches on it, brackets. So it's not hard to kill. It doesn't have the big stem. Fixes great nitrogen. Austrian winter peas I put out in my mix. They're a great legume also. They affect nitrogen.
And then you can, then the next season, or whatever amount of season, then you actually plant something there.
I'll put a different mix in.
But not vegetable? Or
Planting into your cover crops.
Plant into it. Well, I'm always planting corn, soybeans, wheat or oats
always.
in my fields.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a 3-year rotation.
Of the rotation, that's what I was saying.
So I'm not planting vegetables in mine, but it works the same way. Nitrogen you don't need on your tomatoes, So you wouldn't plant tomatoes in a heavy legume.
So our Bloomingdale Gardens project, where these soils came from, that's open to the public. It's right off of Wells Street. It's Wells and High Street, and all of these soils are from there. And so what we have done there, this ground that we had cereal rye in, it was just kind of conventionally tilled. Last year was our first year putting a cover crop on, a successful cover crop. We tried the year before, but we were way too late. So we put our cereal rye on, and then we tarped over the cereal rye. And this year we planted in, there's popcorn, sweet corn, and a couple rows of tomatoes and some peppers in there. So that cereal rye that's on there, it's under here. You can kind of see some of the stubble in here. We did put some compost on top of there that we are making ourselves. We have a big compost in there. So all of our plant scraps, all of the uneaten vegetables, any of our household waste is going into that compost. When that's finished off, then we actually fertilize that compost to add those nutrients back into the soil. This year's kind of a test on how that cereal rye worked to mitigate some of the weeds as well, because it's providing like that natural barrier. We did not till it, so we didn't stir up that seed bed that's in there. When you till your soil as a gardener, you're going to stir up all of those seeds that are like down in the ground. They're going to pop right back up, and you've got to fight those all year. So planting that cover crop in your garden can help mitigate that issue as well. So this crimson clover that we had, we planted strawberries into the crimson clover. We just left all of that matter on that garden box. This is actually in an elevated box. It's ADA compliant, so it's right at, if you were in an accessory device, you would be able to like reach in and grab the strawberries, pull the weeds, etc. So the strawberries are actually thriving in there this year. They're loving that environment. They're just kind of taken over the top. And then where we have this hairy veg, we have not planted into the veg. We use that as an illustration, just to show people what these cover crops are going to look like in your garden. Some of these cover crops are winter kill, meaning when you put them in In the fall, they grow up, they get a good stand on them, they do their job over the winter, they provide all of those nutrients to the microorganisms living in the soil, and they also hold that soil structure together, and they will die off on their own. There are some other cover crops like the cereal rye, your annual rye, that you actually have to terminate in the spring. They're just going to keep growing. So they've done their job all winter, we tarp them off. There's different methods of terminating.
Yeah, so I'm rolling. I'm rolling ribbon. I have it sitting right over there with them bars on it. You roll there. Cereal rye, any cereal plant that joints, oats, barley, on and on. If you bend that, will die. You crimp that stem, that stalk. So you can do the same thing easily in a garden. I've seen the easiest, simplest way is to take a board and a little 4-inch board or 6-inch board, put a 2x2 on the bottom of it or 1x1 in the middle, and 2 ropes on it, and walk along and stomp it down. You're crimping the same thing I am. There's push crimpers, that you rollers like that you can do. There's a lot of different ways to do that. You can drive your garden tractor a little bit.
I hooked up a beam that I drilled a couple holes through, put some chain through to the back of my Simplicity lawnmower, and I use that.
Yeah.
And it works wonderfully.
So Mike, can you talk just a minute about like those 4 principles of soil health and why these practices achieve those 4 ways of like not disturbing, right?
Right. So I am, number one, I'm trying to keep cover on my ground 100% of the time. Now, the fields that I roll that down with, that's covered over, and once my plants grow through that, it'll decay. I don't want to do tillage. I don't want to till my soil. I'm just going in there and planting it. No-till works on gardening also. You can do it. It takes a change of attitude to do that. You have to learn how to plant into that.
And that's what we just saw the Burmese farm, the Rose Avenue Gardens, and Jane mentioned, they all come to the meetings and they all understand the practices, and then it's all tilled.
Yeah, right.
So we saw that in person, yeah.
But that's interesting. They have a long history of them vegetables and the crops they're growing there, which are really interesting. Mm-hmm. And that's their method.
Yep.
They do it.
And then your cover crops, some of them are radishes.
Yeah.
So
and I plant radishes.
And that's putting down.
Radishes are another winter kill plant. So we plant them in August, and they will get big. And out here in my fields, I'll get a 4 and 5 foot root on them. And if they're like a tree root, they'll open up the soil. But they're not hard like a tree root. They'll die. And they'll get winter killed. They dry pretty easy on frost, the first frost. But they bore down and they sequester. They hold on to nutrients in that big root. So once they die, I want something else following that, like the cereal rye that's going to winter all winter, to take up them nutrients and hold them for the next year.
So the turnips just die in the soil.
Yeah.
Everybody just stay where you are and then plant.
Plant in them, yeah. Yeah, that's turnips or radishes. They brassicum family.
And then, well, Don Reckaway, if everybody knows Don, he's on the board of supervisors for the Soil and Water Conservation District in the other county, the county just north of you, Mike. And Don was showing us pictures on the bus about, and where was that? It was out by Woodburn, and there was a rain, and on one side of the road was
cover crop and no-till. The other side was conventional. There's puddles over here. It's a lake on this side.
Yeah.
Heavy rain.
So again, all of that sediment that would wash off, and we were just talking about how the water in the Maumee the ditch turned white, right, with all the sediment, and so that's what they're working to stop. Keep all that soil, keep that integrity.
And that individual now is doing no-till and started cover crops this year.
He lost too much.
So when we talk soil health again, a soil that's aerated, that has a lot of channels, root channels, earthworms in it, a lot of bacteria biology working, is less dense. It has a bulk density less than one that's compacted. What you're walking on here is compacted. And we want that here because we want to drive on it. teacher in Hamstoon used to always say, you want your soil to be just like your house. You want half something, walls, roof, in there, and you want half of the air, oxygen, open space, water. So half and half. That's if you get your soil, and that's what sand does. Sand is a granular product, granular structure, and it doesn't bind itself together like our clay. Our clay particles. So they say on yellow clay, you can take a tablespoon of yellow clay, and if you can divide them out into their individual platelets, their little platelets, little saucers, clay particles. If you could spread them out so they just touched each other, it'd be like a putting green of a golf course. Tablespoon of clay. There's so many platelets in there. But when you smash them together, you get hard soil. You get hard. So the more we can get our bulk density, the more we can lower that, the more we can get our water to infiltrate through there, we get the roots deeper, the whole works. We can save that water. That's what we're doing here. The bulk density on this one would be very tight in a table. Remember, and bulk density on that and progressive water.
So the first one has what's the difference?
It had cereal on it, but it also has, I can see a lot of lawn clippings there.
Yeah.
Bark.
So we have a little bit of leaf mulch on there, but we used our compost from it. So you'll see some eggshells in there. And that compost wasn't completely finished. We've only had that compost going for 2 years, and so we go through it pretty quick, but we're always trying to add to it and grow that compost. There's also some leaf mulch on there they put on to kind of deter those weeds.
I'm composting on my fields. If I roll that down and the plant grows through that, it has to decay. So I'm composting. And earthworms, when I go out and take a shovel full of dirt, and if I don't have 10, 12 earthworms in my shovel, it's because it's too hot or too cold, too wet. Is it ever too hard? Well, not if you have a lot of earthworms. It's not going to be hard. I don't. My organic matter, my average organic matter on my soil now is in almost 4%, 3.8% average over everything. That's sampling my high spots, which are the yellow clay, and the low spots, the darker soils, which are more loam soil. And if we go into our woods right here, this was all woodland when it was settled. You take a soil sample out of the woodland, you're getting
The bare spots at the back of my property, and I'm just going to throw some of this vetch back there this year. It'll look great, it'll fill up. So about 5 years later, I now mow that area. I mow it, the vetch comes back. I mow it, the vetch comes back. So it's just a weird corner, but it is a beautiful plant. So this is a little overgrown. When it's shorter, it's just beautiful to look at.
If you have honeybees, that's probably the number one early flowering for honeybees. I have honeybees on my property right over in the woods there, and the Rackaway Honey Company, you guys might have seen, you might have bought their honey at Rural Kings and at places, Rackaway Honey Company. If you go to Mad Anthony, you drink it there because they have a couple of beers with honey in it. The hives he has over here in my area where I have that hairy vetch blooming, last year, a year ago, is the first year I really had the hairy vetch heavy. I'm learning to handle that. He hadn't put his supers on, he only had the hives there, and not the supers where they make the honey and where they take the honey away from it. The hives just is where they keep their honey to live on. His hives were all full of honey, and they were overflowing before he got his supers on. And he says he didn't know what happened there. It never happened. But this year he put his supers on. He has them stacked up like this high to catch that early crop for the bees. Birds, I have more birds in that stuff than anything I've ever seen. The red-winged blackbirds, I had so many this year. They were almost extinct. They were endangered, and now they're coming back again. And the swallows follow me, they circle around me in the field. The butterflies, you name it, they're all there. I had a duck plant, brown duck. and eating in the field with them.
So we just have a couple minutes before we need to get on the road to our next stop. You know, Mike, this is Mike's awesome house here that he is restoring. So this is his family farm. He's not just a production farmer, but this is a homestead. Mike has some chickens out back that he produces. He has the bees. He has the butcher shed over there.
We do our own processing here.
This is a true homestead, and I'm really excited to see this come along. This is just awesome. Mike, you have a beautiful place here.
Great-great-grandfather settled here in 1847, and that house, the brick farm, was built in 1916.
Wow.
And we're probably putting more money in that than we would in a whole new house.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a choice. You know, it wasn't an option to us. We're gonna fix that up again. The big problem is electricity, heating, air conditioning in it, insulation. We're gonna put insulation in the walls, which is hard to do. It costs a lot of money. So I have some baby chicks back here. You guys interested? You got time yet?
We got about 7 minutes.
Okay, let's take a little walk. So that's a new breed. I'm sorry. The darker colored ones will be my layers. They're going to be. My 3 and 4 year olds could come in here and just grab these. They if you let them set on their feet and put one hand over the top, then they're happy. So they're getting their flight feathers ready. In the wing. So yeah, let them stand and hold it like that. So my 4-year-old grandson, he's grown up with these. He taught Charlie, the 3-year-old, how to catch them. He says, and they get him over in the corner, and he says, get the one in the back or in the very corner. They can't get away. And then you just go fast.
How sweet is that?
That sounds about right.
And that's what they were doing. They love that. So these will be for meat. That's a meat bird, and the red one, wherever he got to, that'll be a new layer. Where they're wandering around. So they in the wintertime they'll be in here. In the summertime they're out in the back in tractors and sheds that I move every day. So they're on pasture.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and I move them daily. Right now I have 8 layers back there, so I'm getting 2 to 4 eggs a day. They're just too old. But broilers and the eggs are so completely different when they're on pasture.
Yeah, but do broilers lay eggs?
No, broilers, they will if you keep them long enough, but no, I'll butcher them. These will take about 12 weeks to get big, the broiler.
Oh, you're like,
A Cornish cross, what you're buying in the store, are 5 weeks old. They're fed. They don't move. I say they sleep with their head in the feeder. Where these guys are what a chicken should taste like, what chicken should be. There's a completely different flavor to it. They don't have the big giant breast on it that are flabby and no flavor. These are smaller, but they have flavor and they have texture to them. I have sold them over the years. With all my stuff going on, I'm just eating these.
oh, okay. For your
And
homestead.
so they were non-GMO. I feed them non-GMO and on the pasture, and
Lucky family.
that's the way to eat.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
So what are the breeds? I don't know.
This one, that's a new breed. I've never tried that, and it's a cross. I like Freedom Rangers because they stand the pasture, and they're an old French breed, or 2 French breeds cross. This is a Sasso. It's a new one. I've never had it. It's going to take me another week to get it to butcher weight, but I'll see what it does. The red ones are, I just forgot they're not Red Rangers. Just forgot the breed on that one. And I've never had them either before, but I watch what kind of breed I get, and I like that. The ladies at the hatchery, they said, you should try this.
Do they want to hold them? I'm going to put her down.
Yep, same. Let's go. All right, guys, we got to get back on the bus. We have one.
like this idea? I think that'd be awesome instead of having the normal shot window. I love this shot. Hey, Marianne, can you hold this for a sec? Stick it up. I need to get it. I have to switch batteries. No wires.
So watch me bring the fire, set the night light.
Please subscribe to my YouTube, Blue Money Army.
Get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kick out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home.